Good morning, students. Today we are going to start new topic. Topic number 15, Introduction to Polymer Chemistry. Now here, first we are going to see introduction. Now here in day-to-day life, we use various types of material like thermocol, glass, wood, cotton, cloths, paper bags or polythene bags, nylon ropes or fruit peels. Now these materials are used in our day-to-day life. Some of these materials are biodegradable and some of them are non-biodegradable. Now what is meant by biodegradable? Biodegradable, that is which can decompose in nature naturally. But what is mean by non-biodegradable? The materials which do not decompose naturally in the nature are called as non-biodegradable materials. That is, some are biodegradable or which can easily undergo decomposition naturally, and some are non-biodegradable, means they do not undergo decomposition naturally. That is, we are living in the world of polymers. Now all these materials, that is thermocol, wood, cotton, cloths, paper bags, nylon ropes or polythene bags, fruit peels, these are the polymers, and we are living in the world of polymers and we use these material in our day-to-day life. Now here polymer chemistry is the separate branch of the chemistry. Now here we are going to see what is meant by polymer. Chemically, polymers are complex and giant macromolecules made from repeating units called monomers. Now here complex, giant means big. Macro means having large size, that is large molecule, large sized molecule, that is macromolecules made from repeating units called monomers. Now mono means single, it is a single part of a chemical, it is called as monomer. And when number of monomers undergo polymerization, then formation of polymer takes place. In Greek, poly means many and mer means unit or part. Mer means unit or part, one unit or one part. And when number of these units come together, then they form many parts or many units. Linking of many units takes place. This is called as polymer. Now, naturally occurring carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids, which are the important organic biopolymers. That is, these carbohydrates, proteins, or nucleic acids, these are the important or naturally occurring organic biopolymers. Carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, which are the important organic biopolymers. These are the biopolymers. Now all these biopolymers are naturally occurring organic biopolymers. Next point we are going to see classification of polymers. Now this is non-evaluative part or it is reduced syllabus from this topic, but we are going to summarize this. Now here polymers can be classified in various ways or by various methods. Now first we are going to see classification of polymers on the basis of the sources from which they are obtained. Now here first natural polymers. Now these are the polymers which are obtained naturally from plants or animals. Therefore these are of two types. First is plant polymer and second is animal polymer. Now plant polymers are those which are obtained from plants. For example, cotton, jute, cellulose, etc. Then animal polymers are those which are obtained from animals. For example, silk, which is obtained from silkworm. Then wool, naturally occurring animal polymers. Now second is synthetic polymers. Now synthetic polymers are those which are man-made polymers. That is, these polymers are obtained in the laboratory or they are synthesized in the laboratory, or these are artificial polymers. For example, nylon, polyester, or it is also named as terylene. Then third, semi-synthetic polymers. Semi-synthetic polymers are obtained from the natural polymers by the action of various chemicals like acids and bases. Now here the property of natural polymers are improved by using some chemicals and therefore they are named as semi-synthetic polymers. For example, acetate rayon or viscous rayon. Now second method for the classification of polymer is classification based on the structure. That is the classification of polymers on the basis of their structure. Now here these polymers are classified as, or there are three types of polymers, in which first is linear or straight chain polymer. That is the polymers which are in a straight chain or in a single line. They are called as linear or straight chain polymer. For example, PVC, that is polyvinyl chloride, and HDP, that is high density polyethylene. These are the examples of linear or straight chain polymers. Then second, branch chain polymers. Now these are the polymers which possesses branching, are called as branch chain polymers. That is linear polymer which possesses branching are called as branch chain polymer. For example, LDP, that is low density polyethylene, is the example of branch chain polymers. And third is cross-link polymers. Now these cross-link polymers, or these are also called as network polymer, which possesses cross-linking in between the two or more than two linear polymers. That is, two or more than two linear polymers get attached to each other by hydrogen bonding or by SS linkage. They are called as cross-link polymers or network polymers. For example, bakelite or melamine. Now third type of classification, that is classification of polymers on the basis of mode of polymerization. Now here these polymers are classified on the mode of polymerization process. First, addition polymers. Now here number of units of monomers undergo polymerization at high temperature under pressure to form a polymer. This is the example of formation of polyethylene. Now this is ethylene or ethene. This is the monomer of polyethylene. This is ethene, and when number of thin molecules undergo polymerization at high temperature under pressure gives polyethylene. Here addition of one ethylene molecule into second ethylene molecule takes place to form polyethylene. Therefore, it is called as addition polymer. Now, second example of addition polymer is polyvinyl chloride or PVC. And third is polyacrylonitrile or Arlon is the example of addition polymer. Now, second, condensation polymerization. Now here in condensation polymerization, two different monomers undergo condensation to form a single monomer, and this monomer then undergo polymerization at high temperature under pressure to give a condensation polymer. Now example is nylon 66 or polyester, or it is terylene, which are also named as chain growth polymerization, or here in case of this condensation polymerization, chain growth takes place. Therefore, this process is also named as chain growth polymerization. Now third is ring opening polymerization. Now ring opening polymerization means here the monomer is in a ring structure, and when it is heated, number of these ring structure when they are heated under pressure undergo polymerization to give a polymer. It is called as ring opening polymerization. Example is nylon 6. Now here in nylon 6 the monomer is epsilon caprolactam. This epsilon caprolactam undergo polymerization to give a repeating unit, and this repeating unit when undergo polymerization to give nylon 6. Now fourth number, or the classification of these polymers on the basis of intermolecular forces. This is the fourth method for the classification of polymerization. Classification of polymers. Now here classification on the basis of intermolecular forces. Now for example, these are elastomers. Now these elastomers are the polymers which have tensile strength, and they are elasticity, they have elasticity, or they are elastic in nature, and when they get stretched when external force is applied, and when this force is released then they get their original shape. They are named as elastomers. For example, rubbers, all the rubbers in which banyan or neoprene rubber or vulcanized rubber are the example of elastomers. Now here in case of this elastomer, these rubbers or elastomers have intermolecular forces like van der Waals forces of attraction. Then second is fibers. Now these fibers are the thin long filaments of a polymer. Now here these fibers also have tensile strength. Example of these fibers are polyamide. These are polyamide or polyester fibers. Polyamide fibers are nothing but nylon 6,6 or nylon 6, and polyester is nothing but terylene. Then third number, thermoplastic polymers. Now these are the polymers which can be remolded. That is, when we give heat to these thermoplastic polymers, they become soft, and when they are cooled, they become hard, and therefore these are reusable polymers, and therefore we can remold these thermoplastic polymers. For example, polyethylene or polystyrene, polyvinyl, etc. These are the thermoplastic polymers which can be remolded. These become soft when heated and becomes hard when cooled out. Now this is thermosetting polymers. Now these thermosetting polymers are molded when they are formed and in hot condition. And when the formation of or setting of this polymer takes place, these polymers does not become soft on heating, and therefore these are not remolded polymers. That is, these are not used again and again. For example, bakelite or urea formaldehyde resins are the examples of thermosetting polymers. Now we are going to see the preparation of some important polymers. That is, some important polymer, in which first we are going to see rubber. Now rubber is the elastomers. That is, these elastomers are known as rubbers. For example, balloons, shoe soles, tires, surgeon's gloves or garden hose are the example of these rubbers. Now first we are going to see natural rubber. That is, this natural rubber is obtained from a rubber plant or rubber tree. Now the monomer of natural rubber is isoprene. Now isoprene, or it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2-methyl but 1,3-diene, or it is also named as isoprene. That is, the monomer of rubber is isoprene or 2-methyl but 1,3-diene. Now natural rubber is the high molecular mass linear polymer of isoprene. That is, this natural rubber is the linear polymer of isoprene or isoprene. Here the molecular mass of this natural rubber is higher. Now we are going to prepare this rubber by using isoprene. Now when number of isoprene units, now isoprene is a monomer, and when number of this isoprene unit undergo polymerization, then here formation of natural rubber takes place. Now here this is one unit, this one unit combined with second unit like this. That is here like this double bond shift in between these two carbon atom, and this double bond shifts in between the second and first unit. That is, we will get a repeating unit like this, CH2, CH3, double bond, CH2. Now here this repeating unit, CH2, CH3, double bond, CH2, dash dash dash. This is repeating unit. And this repeating unit, when undergo polymerization, then you will get natural rubber like this, CH2, CH3, double bond, CH2, n times. That is, these isoprene units, number of isoprene unit get attached to each other to form this natural rubber or this polyisoprene or rubber. This is polyisoprene or rubber, and this is the structure of natural rubber. Now here, look here, this is first unit, this is second unit, and this is third unit. Now here this CH2 group get attached to next unit of isoprene, and this CH2 group get attached to the next unit of isoprene. Here there are only 3 units are shown. Here in natural rubber there are number of isoprene unit. Therefore it is also named as polyisoprene or natural rubber. This is the structure of this natural rubber or polyisoprene. Now we are going to see the properties of this natural rubber, in which first this polyisoprene molecule or natural rubber has cis configuration. That is, it has geometrical isomerism, that is cis configuration of the carbon-carbon double bond. It contains various chains held together by weak van der Waals forces and has coiled structure. That is, here this polyisoprene unit contains various chains held together by a weak van der Waals forces, and it has coiled structure. Second property, it can be stretched like a spring and exhibit elastic property. That is, it possesses elasticity. Then we are going to see next point, vulcanization of rubber. Now here raw rubber or naturally occurring rubber is converted into fine rubber, or the quality of rubber is improved by adding the sulfur at higher temperature. This process is known as vulcanization of rubber, or this process is invented by Charles Goodyear in 1839. It is an American inventor invented this process of vulcanization. Now, what is meant by vulcanization? The process of the process by which a network or cross links are introduced into the elastomers is called as vulcanization. I repeat again, this process by which network or cross links are introduced into an elastomer is called as vulcanization. Now, how this vulcanization of rubber is carried out? Raw rubber is heated with sulfur powder in presence of some chemical substances known as accelerators. And this raw rubber and sulfur powder is heated at about 150 degrees Celsius, then we'll get different types of rubbers. Now here the quantity of sulfur gives the different type of rubber. For example, if we use the 40 to 45% of sulfur, then we'll get ebonite, which is a non-elastic hard material, or hard rubber is obtained. Non-elastic hard material obtained, which is used for the preparation of tires. Now here, if we decrease the quantity of sulfur powder, then we'll get different types of rubber, that is soft rubber or semi-soft rubber or hard rubber. Here we can prepare any type of soft, semi-soft or hard rubber by using raw rubber and sulfur at high temperature and by using a chemical substance known as accelerator. This is the vulcanization of rubber. Now, second type of important polymer is polyethylene. Now, it is a hydrocarbon thermoplastic, or it is used as a hydrocarbon thermoplastic. Now, this polyethylene is obtained by using the monomer of ethene or ethylene. That is, monomer is ethene or ethylene. Now, when number of ethylene molecules undergo polymerization, then formation of polyethylene takes place. There are two types of polyethylene. First is low density polyethylene and second is high density polyethylene. Now first we are going to see low density polyethylene. Low density polyethylene or LDP. Now here this ethene or number of ethene molecules, when these ethene molecules undergo polymerization at high pressure, that is 1000 to 200 atmospheric pressure, at 350 to 370 Kelvin temperature, in presence of traces of oxygen and peroxide, then formation of low density polyethylene takes place. Now this low density polyethylene is obtained from ethene. It is a free radical formation mechanism. The mechanism of this reaction is free radical addition. That is, here free radical addition takes place, which results in the branching. Due to free radical mechanism or free radical addition, here branching occurs. And as a result of the branching, the chains are loosely held and thus the polymer has low density. Now we are going to see the properties of this LDP or low density polyethylene. Low density polyethylene films are flexible but they are tough. Chemically they are inert and moisture resistant. That is, they do not absorb water. These are poor conductor of electricity and the melting point of this LDP is 110 degree Celsius. Now we are going to see uses of low density polyethylene. Now this low density polyethylene is used to prepare pipes which are used in irrigation or in agricultures or in household purpose also. Now these LDP are used as insulators to electrical cables. since they are poor conductor or bad conductor of electricity. Now this LDP is used in preparation of films, sheets, packaging bags or squeeze bottles or for the attractive containers. Second type of polyethylene is high density polyethylene or HDP. Now here, when n numbers of ethylene molecule or ethene molecules undergo polymerization in presence of a Ziegler-Natta catalyst at 333 Kelvin to 343 Kelvin under 6 to 7 atmospheric pressure, then formation of high density polyethylene takes place. Now here, the Ziegler-Natta catalyst is a combination of triethyl aluminum with titanium tetrachloride. Ziegler-Natta catalyst is a combination of triethyl aluminum with titanium tetrachloride. Now we are going to see properties of high density polyethylene. High density polyethylene is a crystalline having melting point range in between 144 degrees Celsius to 150 degrees Celsius. Now this HDP or high density polyethylene has high tensile strength and hardness stiffer than LDP. This high density polyethylene has high tensile strength and hardness, and it is stiffer than low density polyethylene. Then third, it is more resistant to chemicals as compared to that of low density polyethylene. Now we are going to see the uses of high density polyethylene. First, it is used in the manufacture of toys and other household articles like buckets, dustbins, bottles, pipes, etc. Then second, it is used to prepare laboratory wares and other objects where high tensile strength and stiffness is required.